President Duterte wants healthcare workers to receive their undelivered benefits and allowances within the next 10 days. The Genome Center and at least one infectious disease expert have confirmed that there is already community transmission of the Delta variant in the Philippines. But the health department says they have been already working under the assumption that there is community transmission in the Philippines, even without officially declaring it. The Commission on Elections says there will be no online filing of certificates of candidacy for the 2022 elections. And after a 2-year hiatus, Manny Pacquiao returns to the boxing ring in a few hours with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know to jumpstart your weekend. I'm Riza Diaz. President Duterte is giving the Budget Department 10 days to release the funds for healthcare workers' benefits. In his talk to the people yesterday, the president reiterated that the health department does not hold the funds for said benefit. He then told DBM to release the budget within 10 days and to borrow personnel from other agencies if needed.
DBM, I'm giving you 10 days. Wala kayong personnel, borrow from other agencies. Bigay mo yung pera kay Secretary Duque, tapos bayaran niya.
President Duterte is asking the Commission on Audit to give the Health Department sufficient time to respond to their audit findings. JC Cosico with the story.
The health department has been facing heavy criticisms over its supposed deficiencies in the handling of pandemic funds, as flagged by the Commission on Audit. Despite this, President Rodrigo Duterte doesn't see any reason to fire Health Chief Francisco Duque III. Duterte said he would be doing a great injustice if he fired Duque, as the latter would be dogged by insinuations of corruption for the rest of his life.
You want to ask them, for what? Ano ba ang nagawa niya na kasamaan? I'm sorry, but I said, baski mag-isa na lang ako, I will stand for Duque, even if it will bring me down.
Duterte also denied defending the DOH, saying he was just sharing his opinion. On the COA reports, Duterte said he understands that these are part of the agency's mandate, but he explained the reports must be reconfigured and that COA must clarify that there is no corruption involved.
Alam ko walang mali siya. You are just doing your duty, but in making the report, kindly reconfigure everything. And sabihin sa una, at the first instance, pag ma-interview ka, sabihin mo na kaagad, there is no corruption here because there is no money involved.
Duterte also asked COA to give agencies sufficient time to answer the findings, as the public would immediately perceive it as corruption. The president noted that due to the pandemic, government agencies are implementing a skeletal workforce. This for him is the reason why documentation that auditors request takes time.
They are fighting a war against an enemy na hindi natin nakikita. Give them an enough elbow room to move.
For News 5, JC Cosico, We Are One News.
Infectious disease expert Dr. Ronchine Solante believes there's already a community transmission of the Delta variant in the Philippines. In an interview here on One News yesterday, Solante said the drastic increase in cases is a characteristic of the Delta variant spreading. Solante added that despite the small number of samples from the Philippine Genome Center, plenty of these were proven to be Delta variant.
When you have more than 48% of the samples are Delta variant, then we would presume that this is now the current and most likely the variant that drives the transmission in the community.
Meanwhile, Solantes said bed capacity at the San Lazaro Hospital is almost fully utilized. He added that more young people are getting infected with COVID-19 and that 70% of the critical cases have not received their vaccines.
The scenario here, we will be having lots of these more severe critical that cannot be accommodated anymore in the ICU. Some of these patients will just be intense in the emergency room. And then you will also expect higher mortality for this severe critical patient.
Meanwhile, after weeks of refusing to declare community transmission, the health department has finally conceded to the results of the genome sequencing. Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere said samples and results from the Philippine Genome Center really point towards community transmission. She added that the agency just waited for more proof before making an official declaration. But Vergere assured the public that the government has been implementing measures under the assumption that there is indeed community transmission of the variant in the Philippines.
Mula pa naman po nung umpisa, we treat it already as a community transmission at yun na po yung mga aksyon na ginagawa natin. Kailangan lang natin ng enough evidence so we can officially declare.
Now, here are other stories we're following across the nation. PhilHealth will now cover home isolation for qualified individuals. The PhilHealth circular published last August 19 introduced the COVID-19 home isolation package. This is due to most hospitals being at full capacity because of the spike in cases. The package will only be available to patients who are asymptomatic or with mild symptoms. Beneficiaries will have to pass both the clinical and social criteria assessed by the Barangay Health Emergency Response Teams. PhilHealth said it will accept applications for accreditation from home isolation providers free of charge until end of the year. The Commission on Elections will not allow online filing of certificates of candidacy in a bid to avoid personal contacts amid rising COVID cases in the country. In a resolution, the Comelec said that the aspirant should file the COC personally or through an authorized representative with a sworn and signed authority to file the COC. The full body adds that the COC filing will start from October 1st to 8th, including weekends from 8 in the morning till 5 p.m. The DOTR's free train ride program for vaccinated passengers has been extended to August 31st. The program covers MRT3, LRT2, and the PNR. Qualified passengers are those who are considered as authorized persons outside residents who have received at least one COVID-19 jab. The free train rides would be available only during peak hours. That's from 7 in the morning till 9 a.m. and 5 to 7 p.m. for the light trains, and from 10 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon for PNR trains. The much-awaited return of Manny Pacquiao to the boxing ring is just hours away. Pacquiao remains to be the clear favorite to win the match, but his opponent is not planning to go down without a fight. In fact, Cuban boxer Yordenis Ugas considers this the most important fight of his life. Lynn Olivario with his story.
After a 2-year hiatus, Manny Pacquiao is set to hit the ring once again. This time, he will face Cuban boxer Yordenis Ugas. For Pacquiao, this is about reclaiming his WBA super welterweight belt, which he won over Keith Thurman in 2019. He was stripped off the belt for inactivity.
It's not good for me to strip my belt without fighting me, without challenging me. So let's see if he will get the belt.
Betting odds now favor Pacquiao, but had his bout with his original opponent Errol Spence Jr. pushed through, he would have been considered an underdog. But even at 42, Manny says he's feeling young.
I think for the Thurman fight, on my everyday training, I did 25 rounds, 28 rounds a day, but this time I did 30 rounds, 32 rounds, sometimes 31 rounds. So, and the coaching staff trying to stop me because I don't want to. I want to do more.
Pacman added that he was able to adjust in 2 days his training for a southpaw boxer in Errol Spence Jr. to an orthodox fighter in Yordenis Ugas.
It's good for me because I used to fight right-handed most of my career, so nothing to worry about.
Hall of Fame trainer Freddie Roach is confident that Manny will send Ugas to the canvas. After all, the People's Champ knocked out a sparring partner in his training camp last week.
He's trained really hard for this fight. Putting the one sparring partner on the canvas was a motivator for all of us.
But the 2008 Olympics bronze medalist believes otherwise.
I'm 100% certain he cannot knock me out. I've really been, hitting my stride, and I don't think Manny Pacquiao can knock me out.
Although aware that he is the underdog, Ugas is more than ready to slug it out for what he considers to be the most important fight of his life. For News 5, Lynn Olivario, We Are One News.
And that is how today is shaping up to be. Join us later again at 10 in the morning as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now, www.signalplay.com, and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.